You've heard of Kundalini, the serpent that rises up the spine, the divine force that awakens your soul. But what if I told you that the key to unlocking this sacred energy is not in your mind? It's not even in your chakras. It's in your sacrum, the small, powerful bone at the base of your spine, the forgotten gateway to your highest potential. This bone is ancient. It's been called the phoenix bone, the seat of life's primal force. But in the modern world, it's been overlooked, ignored, forgotten, yet it's the very foundation of your Kundalini awakening. The sacrum has been recognized by mystics, sages, and healers throughout history. In ancient Egypt, it was seen as the seat of the soul. In Eastern philosophy, it's the root, the very place where life begins. But in our everyday lives, we've disconnected from it. We focus on the mind. We chase after theories. We seek the magic of Kundalini without realizing it's already within us, locked in the sacrum. It's the bone at the base of your spine, where your life force is cradled, waiting for you to remember. When the sacrum is activated, something shifts deep within you. Something unlocks, and that's when the Kundalini energy stirs. You see, the sacrum is not just a bone, it's a sacred code, a living blueprint for your rebirth. In ancient traditions, the sacrum was considered to be the bone of light. Why light? Because it is unbreakable. It holds the memory of your original divine design. It's said that the sacrum is where the first breath of life is felt. It carries your life force. And when we ignore this bone, when we neglect its sacred message, we suppress the very energy that's supposed to rise and transform us. But now, it's time to remember, to activate the sacrum and unlock the dormant energy that's been waiting for lifetimes to rise. For centuries, people have misunderstood the nature of Kundalini. They've believed it's some kind of external force, something you need to reach for, grasp, or force. But here's the truth. Kundalini is not something you seek outside of you. It's already inside. It's been lying dormant, like a seed in the sacrum, waiting for the right moment to sprout. The sacrum is the root, and without unlocking it, Kundalini cannot rise. You can chant mantras, meditate, or study ancient texts all you want. But if the sacrum remains inactive, nothing will change. It's like planting a seed but never watering it. The power is already there. It just needs the right conditions to awaken. Let's talk about science for a moment. We know that the sacrum is made of fused vertebrae, but it's more than just a structure. It's a powerful energy center. And here's why. It's closely connected to the autonomic nervous system, the system that governs your fight or flight responses, your survival instincts, and even your ability to reboot after trauma. But more than that, the sacrum is a resonance chamber for your life force. It vibrates, it pulses, and it holds the frequency of your body's natural rhythm. When it awakens, so does the energy that flows within you. This is the beginning of your Kundalini rise. So what does it mean to activate the sacrum? It means returning to the root of who you are. It means reawakening the primal pulse that connects you to the earth, the cosmos, and the very essence of your being. When you activate the sacrum, you don't just open a door. You unlock a gateway, a portal into the deepest, most powerful part of you. The Kundalini energy begins to awaken from the base. It's not a forceful climb up your spine. It's an invitation to the energy already within, a call to rise from the ground up. And when that call is heard, when the sacrum is unlocked, transformation begins. This is just the beginning. We've talked about the sacrum as the forgotten gateway, but soon you'll begin to feel it stir, the subtle energy beneath the surface. You'll begin to sense that the Kundalini is not a far-off myth. It's part of you, and you've been carrying it your entire life. The journey to awakening Kundalini isn't about forcing something. It's about remembering. And this first step, unlocking the sacrum, is the most sacred step you'll take. It's time to wake up the sacred bone. It's time to begin the journey of transformation from the base up, not just in your body, but in your soul. The key is in your sacrum, and it's already ready to unlock. As you continue to awaken, remember this. This isn't a race. This isn't about forcing something to happen. This is about presence, being, and allowing the sacred energy that has always been inside you to rise. The sacrum holds the code, and now it's time to unlock it. You've been told to awaken your energy, to rise into your highest self, to feel the serpent move up your spine. But no one told you why it won't move. You meditate, you breathe, you pray, but something still feels stuck, heavy, closed. The truth is, it's not your fault, because before Kundalini can rise, she must be freed, and the place she's trapped is your sacral base. This isn't a block of energy, it's a block of memory, buried, unprocessed, silent. The pain you didn't cry, the fear you couldn't voice, the trauma your lineage passed down, it all lives in your body. And the body holds its deepest silence in the sacrum. Your mind forgets, but your body doesn't, especially the fascia. That web of connective tissue holding everything in place. Science now confirms what ancient mystics already knew. Your fascia holds memory, not the kind stored in your brain, but the kind stored in your posture, your breath, your bones. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every time you silenced your truth to survive, it all left marks, not on your skin, but beneath it, in the fascia surrounding your sacrum, like codes waiting to be unlocked. That's why you can't think your way out of pain, because pain doesn't live in your thoughts, it lives in your structure. And nowhere is that structure more sacred, more sealed, than the base of your spine. The sacrum doesn't forget. The sacrum is not just a bone. It's a temple of storage. It holds your instinct to survive, and also the moments you froze in fear. It holds your sensual energy, and also the shame passed down from generations. It holds your pulse of creation, and the memory of every time that creation was silenced. This is why Kundalini can't rise, because she honors the truth. She cannot move through a body that still carries frozen denial. She waits, not because you're not worthy, but because you haven't yet felt what was never allowed to be felt. The sacrum is sealed not by weakness, but by protection. It protected you from breaking, from collapsing, from remembering before you were ready. But now, you are ready. Some of what you carry isn't even yours. It comes from those who came before. The women in your bloodline who weren't allowed to speak. The men who buried their tears to survive. The ancestors who lost their land, their names, their center. They passed it down through DNA, yes, but also through posture, muscle, nervous system. And where did it all settle? Right at the base, in the sacrum, in the root. You are not just carrying your story, you're carrying theirs too. And that's why your healing is so powerful. Because when you unlock the sacrum, you don't rise alone. You rise with every soul that never got the chance. Energy is meant to move. Kundalini is a current, like a river of sacred electricity. But when the body holds trauma, that current freezes. It's like trying to light a fire in a cave full of wet stone. The spark is there, but the ground isn't ready. So what happens? You feel numb. You feel disconnected. You feel tired for no reason. You feel off, but can't explain why. Because the blockage is not visible. It's somatic. It's vibrational. It lives in the hidden layers of your being. Until you enter the sacrum, nothing can rise. Everyone wants to ascend, but no one wants to descend. But Kundalini doesn't rise by escaping. She rises through reclamation. You must go back to the part of you that was silenced, the child who froze, the body that held the scream, the hips that learned to stay still, the breath that learned to disappear. This is not about suffering. It's about returning, because the sacrum is not broken. It's sealed. It's waiting. It's sacred. And when you go there, not with force, but with reverence, you begin to feel it, the warmth, the vibration, the old pulse remembering itself. That's when Kundalini begins to stir. This is not a mental game. This is a sacred homecoming. If your energy hasn't risen yet, it's not because you're doing it wrong. It's because your body is protecting the most powerful thing you carry, your truth, your memory, your life force. And now, you are ready to return to the place you once left behind, the sacrum, the bone of beginnings, the chamber of sealed power, the gate to resurrection. Touch it with your breath. Touch it with your presence. Touch it with your honesty. And watch the serpent awaken, not in fire, but in reverence, not by force, but by remembering. You've been told to activate your energy, to awaken Kundalini, to rise into power. But here's what they didn't tell you. You cannot force sacred energy. You can only remember it. Kundalini is not a lightning bolt. It's a pulse, a sacred rhythm that begins deep in the pelvis, specifically in the sacrum. If you want to rise, you must first return to the body, to the place where movement was lost, where energy was silenced, where life learned to hold its breath. And that place is where the pelvic pulse begins. You've seen the stories, heard the promises. Do this technique, and you'll awaken instantly. Breathe hard, squeeze, push the energy up. But force is not awakening. It's resistance disguised as control. The truth is, the sacred cannot be pushed. It must be invited. The sacrum does not respond to demand. It responds to presence. It responds to safety. It responds to stillness. And that is why your energy isn't rising, because you are trying to open a sacred door with the language of tension. The pelvic pulse is not a metaphor. It is a living rhythm buried deep in your body. Before you spoke, before you walked, before you even had thoughts, this pulse was already moving. It's the rhythm of your first breath, the bass beat of your nervous system, the flow of life that says, I am here, I am alive. But trauma, stillness, shame, they freeze this rhythm. And when that happens, the body forgets how to move from within. The pelvic pulse becomes silent. And with it, your Kundalini sleeps. To awaken this pulse, you don't need violence. You need remembrance. It begins by bringing your attention to the sacral base, not to fix it, but to listen. This is not a performance. This is a prayer. You lie down, you feel the ground, you let the earth hold your weight. And for once, you don't try to rise. You allow yourself to fall into presence, and in that stillness, the pulse begins. Subtle, soft, true. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's sacred. Your mind wants steps. Your ego wants speed. But the body just wants to be trusted again. It already knows the way. It remembers the sacred spiral. It remembers the breath before the trauma. It remembers the dance before the shutdown. When you reconnect to your pelvic floor, when you soften your belly, when you breathe into your sacrum, you're not just relaxing, you're activating ancient memory. This is not a new energy. It's the oldest one, the one you were born with, the one that never left. You're not summoning power, you're reclaiming it. Start small. Subtle shifts in your pelvis, not to perform, but to feel. Rock gently forward and back, like a wave, like a breath. Notice what happens when you don't try to make anything happen. Notice what happens when you let the movement come from inside. That's the pulse. That's the awakening. It starts before sensation, before language. It begins in the quiet vibration beneath your spine, and that's what the ancients were really talking about. Not energy flying out of control, but energy returning home to its sacred root. You don't need more power. You are already power, but it's been frozen, stored, protected, and now your body is ready to remember. The pelvic pulse is your invitation to move from stillness, to feel from safety, to rise without force. When the sacrum awakens gently, Kundalini does not explode. She unfolds like a flower blooming from the base of your being, like a whisper becoming a song. This is not about being loud. It's about being honest. Return to your breath. Return to your base. Return to the pulse. And watch what happens when you no longer force the sacred. You simply let it remember you. What happens in that moment, when everything begins to shift inside you? Not in your mind, not in your thoughts, but in your body. There is a moment, so quiet, so still, you almost miss it. It doesn't explode. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It pulses from the base of your spine, like something ancient, remembering its way back home. And that moment, when Kundalini rises through the sacrum, is not a fantasy. It's not mythology. It's your birthright. It's the body, finally unsealing its deepest code. Before anything rises, the sacrum opens, not like a door, more like a memory, softly waking after centuries of silence. The sacrum, that sacred triangular bone, has been holding this power for lifetimes, not as punishment, but as protection. It kept the code safe until you were ready, and now the lock has begun to turn. You may feel warmth at the base of your spine, or a gentle pressure, like the body stretching inward. You may feel nothing at first, just a knowing, a shift in the air of your being. This is the start. This is the root remembering. When Kundalini rises through the sacrum, it does not rush. It does not need permission. It moves like a river through territory that once felt forgotten. You don't push it. You don't command it. You surrender. And the body, once frozen by fear, tight from stories, hardened by survival, begins to soften. The hips breathe. The spine listens. The breath deepens. This is not a dramatic awakening. It is a sacred return. She, the energy, knows exactly where to go. She's known the path since before you were born. You are not making it happen. You are simply getting out of the way. As the energy rises, your spine becomes more than structure. It becomes a memory path, each vertebra a chamber, each curve a portal. The energy doesn't just go up. It communicates. It meets the heart and stirs it open. It touches the throat and unlocks your voice. It kisses the third eye and reminds you of what you've always seen. But it all begins at the base, at the bone that never broke, the phoenix bone, the sacrum, where death ends and resurrection begins. How do you know it's real? Not by how loud it is, but by how still you become. Suddenly, silence feels safe. Your breath finds its rhythm. Tears rise, not from sadness, but from recognition. You are not awakening something foreign. You're reuniting with your original self. Your movements become slower, but more true. Your words fewer, but more honest. Your energy doesn't scatter outward. It anchors inward. This is what happens when Kundalini awakens through the sacrum, not as a storm, but as a return to your center. After the rise, something changes. You don't see the world the same. You don't see yourself the same. Not because you've added something new, but because you've removed what never belonged. Old habits fall off like dead skin. Old identities crumble like dust. And yet, you feel more grounded than ever. Not floating, not escaping, rooted. Because now the sacrum is not just a bone in your body. It is your axis,
your center, your throne, and everything begins to organize around it. Kundalini is not a force you master. She is a rhythm you remember. And when she rises through the sacrum, you don't feel power, you feel presence. Because the real miracle is not energy shooting up your spine. The real miracle is you returning to your body, you becoming whole, you remembering the pulse that was always there, you no longer running. This is the moment it rises, and from this moment on, you are no longer the same.